usually to get funding from the bank, right, becoming bankable, they're going to require you to have a low 5 bank rating. And so this is one that most people have never heard of, and this is super critical. So a low 5 bank rating essentially means that you're consistently maintaining a balance of anywhere between $5,000 to $999 in the business checking account. So if you have a high balance in your checking account, that consistency, that shows stability to a lender. So it means that your business has cash on hand. And that's one of the most important components to becoming bankable. What's up, everyone? Micah Smith here, back for another episode of Rebuild and Rise. Last week, we discussed becoming bankable and what that looks like within the framework, and we did some really basic stuff. But today I want to talk about something really, really important, because this is going to give you an inside look to our program. And this is going to be how expensive money actually can be very smart if you know how to use it. And so I want to show you the intricacies behind the scenes and what our coaches actually help you unveil within our framework. Okay. So listen, most of the time business owners are going to apply for funding, and they're going to see some outrageous number, let's say like 35% interest attached to a loan. And they're going to be like, no. Right. And they're going to walk away. And that would probably be myself included if I didn't know how to use the funds correctly. So on the surface, that number looks insane, and it is insane. And let's be clear, there are numbers much higher than that. Okay. So, but I want to show you, if you use expensive short-term money with intention, how this can actually be the strategy that will get you to that long-term financing, right, that you actually couldn't access before. So I'm going to show you the numbers, and we are going to break it down. So let's talk about what I call non-bankable financing. Okay, this is the exact opposite of what our program is trying to help you with. So these products are asset-based loans, merchant cash advances, revenue-based loans, and you have receivable factoring. So here's what they all have in common. They're wildly expensive. We're talking, like we said in the beginning of the podcast, 35% interest or higher. You're usually looking at a repayment term of 1 year or less. It's short, it's fast, it's costly. So when most business owners see those terms, they're like, I'm going to pass, right? But they feel like they potentially dodged something. But here's what I need you to understand. Rejecting expensive money without a plan is not wisdom. Sometimes it can actually keep you stuck. So what I want to discuss is, so business owners who understand how this works, and again, we coach you how to do this, because again, like, I'm the same way. Are you kidding me? Like a few years ago, if someone gave me an offer like that, I'd be like, absolutely not. But I wouldn't have known how to use the money, right? So let's go into this. So if you're going to take on short-term high-cost financing, it needs to be doing extremely specific work. So I've talked about your money before. Your money needs to be working for you. It should be helping you to hit a goal. And right now, what I want that goal to look like is, I actually want that goal to look like bankability, right? So this is not for keeping the lights on. We don't take out short-term loans to keep the lights on. That is a big no-no. So one of the biggest issues we're seeing in America is we're seeing a lot of people with really, really high credit card balances, right? So essentially, if your personal credit score right now is suffering due to extremely high credit card balances, right? And most of these credit card companies, depending on like what you've done in the past, if you've missed payments, your interest is through the roof because now you pay a penalty APR. So essentially what you can do is you can actually get this money, okay? You can use it to pay off your personal credit cards, okay? And what you can do is now you're going to raise your personal credit score. You heard of my last episode, right? This woman's credit score jumped over 200 points when she paid off, right, her credit cards. So maybe your credit score jumps by 100 points, maybe 200 points. That's not a small thing, but that's the difference between an approval, right, or a denial on a long-term loan. So if you're not at the credit score that we need you to be at, essentially you can use this short-term financing to help you get your personal score to where it needs to be if it's really being held back by really high credit card balances. So this is something that most people have never even heard of it. I didn't even cover this in my last episode. I didn't even cover your bank rating. Okay, so usually to get funding from the bank, right, becoming bankable, they're going to require you to have a low 5 bank rating. And so this is one that most people have never heard of, and this is super critical. So a low 5 bank rating essentially means that you're consistently maintaining a balance of anywhere between $5,000 to $999 in the business checking account. So if you have a high balance in your checking account, that consistency, that shows stability to a lender. So it means that your business has cash on hand. And that's one of the most important components to becoming bankable. So many people overlook that. They don't even know that it's a thing. They don't know that they have the ability, right, to see what's in your bank account. But these are all things that they factor into, right, whether or not they're going to give you a loan, right? So becoming bankable, there's all these nuances. So keeping money in the business bank account, right, that's another great way to use it. You can also use that money, right, the short-term money that we get you, so we can actually use it to complete your lender compliance items. So there is this extremely long list of items that lenders look at, right? It's called, again, lender compliance before they're even going to tell you yes. So everything from the way your entity is structured, you have your EIN usage, your business address, right? Your business phone, your website, time in business, and just industry classifications. So the problem is that a lot of people are, and I should say business owners, are failing because that checklist essentially is not being checked, right? So, and it's not because of the revenue. So there's very small, simple things that they could be fixing. So bridge money could essentially help to fund that cleanup so you can show to the long-term lender exactly the way that you need to look, right? So the other thing that you can do with this is you can use this money to start initial business credit trade lines. So what we're talking about is net 30 vendor accounts that report to DNB, Experian, Equifax. And that's how your business credit score actually starts generating. So you actually don't even have the ability to build a PAYDEX score if you don't have any of those trade lines reporting. So you don't have the ability to generate even your IntelliScore, right, with no history. So you can actually use bridge money to fund those initial accounts, get them reporting, and start the clock on your business credit profile. So by the time you're ready for long-term financing, you have something to show, which again, I told you in the last episode, most people who enter our program, they're usually bankable within about 4 to 6 months, depending on how fast you move with your coach. So I just want you to know every dollar of that expensive money is going to be doing that targeted work, moving you forward, building the file that unlocks the next door. And so that's how you can essentially use that money wisely. So I want to give some math to you here because I think this is really important. So I need you to pause for a second and really think about the numbers. If you're driving in a car, pause, pull over to the side of the road because I want you to hear these numbers because I want you to understand like what this money costs you, okay? So if you're getting $100,000 revenue-based loan, okay, at 35% interest, okay? Generally speaking, you're going to have a 12-month repayment. Your monthly payment is going to be $11,350. That is a very real number that businesses are paying every single day, okay? And that is going to come out of your account every single month. That is a chunk of change. So here's what happens if you use it right, okay? So let's say you take that $100,000. Now you use it strategically. You've now paid down your personal credit cards. You've established your bank rating. You complete your lender compliance checklist. You've opened your initial vendor trade lines. Within that 4 months, you've become bankable. The profile is clean. The business credit is now generating. Now you qualify for potentially an SBA loan, right? So now we're looking at the SBA loan. $250,000 SBA loan, 12% interest, 10-year repayment note. Monthly payment, $3,500. Are you freaking out right now? Because I'm freaking out right now. That's real money at an interest rate that is doable. $3,500 a month over 10 years, almost double. I'm sorry, it's way over double the money, right? $250,000 versus $100,000. Okay, so this is what we're trying to teach business owners, right? The difference between A and B. And this is what I try to teach my mortgage clients, the difference between client A and client B. Interest rate, it destroys people, right? So essentially, when you cut that interest rate down more than half, right, you're seeing a substantial difference. So now that's over $7,850 a month back into the business every single month. And then over the remaining 8 months of that original bridge term loan, right, that's over $60,000 in cash flow that stays with you instead of going back to a lender. Game changer. Okay, so the expensive money actually wasn't expensive. It was an investment. And that's how you have to look at it. There's always a cost. There's a cost to doing something, but there's a cost to not doing something. And if you work with a seasoned pro, right, you have to have someone who is an expert at doing this, guiding you every step of the way. I didn't know this stuff. This is all stuff taught to me by coaches. Are you kidding? And then guess what we did? We hired those coaches and they work within our confines, within our infrastructure to help our clients. Are you kidding me? This is the coolest thing on the planet, right? So now you've invested into you, into your fundability, and now you have future access to capital. And now you can operate at a very different level. That's the reframe and that's the strategy. So I just want to be clear again, and I've said it already like 15 times, right? But again, our coaches are going to walk you through this every step of the way, right? Because I want you to know, right, the strategy, the sequencing, knowing what to pay down first, what to build first, how to time your applications, all of that stuff. That is not something that people should even be trying to do alone, if you ask me. Because the problem is that, right, we don't know all of the nuances and there really is a science to it. And so it's not because, right, our coaches are so smart. It's because they're really good at understanding how this system operates. The system was not designed to be transparent, and you have to understand that, right? This is a very complex system, and you have to work with professionals to navigate this successfully. So the wrong move, applying too early or in the wrong order, right? Essentially, if you miss a compliance item, it's going to cost you time, money, and approval, and you're just going to get frustrated and stuck. And remember, when you go to apply for the loan and you get denied, right? There is like 99.99% of the time, they're not going to be able to tell you, oh, well, this item is right. This isn't in order, so we couldn't approve you. You're just going to get a denial and you're not going to really know why. So just remember, our program is live coaching, right? We sit with you, we look at your actual file, and we map out every single move. So that way, you know when you're ready to pay down the personal balances, right? We know when your bank rating is where it needs to be. We know which trade lines to open and in what order, right? And we need to know when to go after the SBA loan. So you walk in and you walk in ready. So I just want to make sure you understand this is not generic advice to go take it and run with it. This is something, again, this works within the confines of a structured program, right? So you want to work one-on-one with a coach because, again, this stuff is so complex. But the big thing I want to do is I want to help reframe your mind. I want to open your mind to think bigger, right? Because I don't want you just to look at expensive money if that's all you qualify for. I don't want you to just look at the interest rate. I want you to say, is this something that I can use to move me to the next level if I use it right? And again, our coaches will help you with that. But just remember the difference and the numbers that I gave you before, right? $11,350 a month for 4 months, okay? To get to $3,500 a month for 10 years and $150,000 more in capital. That's a great investment for a business owner who went in with a plan. That's what you potentially might have access to. Okay, so the first thing we want you to do is start with your pre-qualification scan. Remember, if you go to our website, and we're going to have all the links in our show notes below, but if you go to our website, right, and you look at our services, you scroll down midway and you'll see the application, you'll see the little link where you can go that talks about business funding, right? So this is something we want to give you access to. Start there. Let's just see where you're at and let's see what we can do and help you grow your business into. Guys, links are in the show notes and they are in the bio. And if this episode helped you see money differently, share it. Send it to a business owner who walked away from bridge financing without a plan and is still stuck. I'm Micah Smith. Keep building, keep rising. I will see you next week. God bless.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit like and subscribe. And if there's someone you know that this would help, please share this with them. If you are looking to fix and repair your credit, you can find us at www.micaabigail.com. And if you're looking for more personal stories on myself, you can find me at Fit Credit Doctor. Thanks again for joining, and God bless.